Hello, welcome back to Hoop Theory. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today, something I haven't done before. I'm actually going to be showing you guys a different video that I watched recently and let's just say I had a lot of thoughts about it. So the video is called Anthony Davis had just revitalized the Lakers. You should be able to see it right above my face, but it's on the channel Thinking Basketball, which is an amazing channel on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out already, definitely should. One of the best out there, to be honest. But I couldn't help but just be dumbfounded, I guess, that this video even exists in the first place. Not that like any of it's wrong or anything like that. It's just, it's so odd that this situation even exists. But yeah, let's get into it.
The Lakers started this season off with a whimper, dropping 10 of their first 12 games behind the least efficient offense in the league. But they shifted that offense around Anthony Davis, and for a moment at least, it completely turned their season around.
So this is what I'm talking about right here, is that it's kind of crazy to hear Thinking Basketball, or, Ben Taylor, the guy, the voice of Thinking Basketball, talking about this change. I would expect him to be sarcastic about it or make some sort of comment about how crazy it is that this even needed to be stumbled upon, this adjustment, shifting the offensive scheme to build around Anthony Davis as the source of the rim pressure and just being a roll man, lob threat. But it is true. They even didn't go to that style of offense near as much as they should have in the championship year. They won in spite of that. They only pulled that out when they absolutely had to. Why? I have no clue. But for some reason, I don't know if it's the way that Anthony Davis wants to play or what it is, but their number one mode of offense last few years with Anthony Davis on the court seems to be either him or LeBron or Russell Westbrook when they had him. One of them just has the ball and isolates. Let's just have Anthony Davis post up from the mid-range and can he do that? Yeah. But that should have never been his number one use on offense. He is quite arguably, especially at his peak, maybe the best lob threat, lob finisher, roll man that the league has ever seen. And he's playing alongside of one of the best pick and roll creators that the league has ever seen in LeBron James. Why don't you just run that every play? I'm not saying you have to run it every play, but the fact that it's never been their go-to offense is mind-boggling on just about every level. Spoiler alert a little bit, but this video is all about how the Lakers, they revitalized the season. They turned around their season all of a sudden. And what was the key change? They're using Anthony Davis as a lob threat, using him in the pick and roll instead of, giving him the ball on the perimeter and isolating. Yeah. That really shouldn't have been something you had to figure out, to be honest. But yeah, let's keep going here.
Davis is currently sidelined yet again after a fluky foot injury.
Yeah, so he sprained his ankle mid-air, which I've never seen anyone do before. But
against the Nuggets. So we'll have to wait and see if he can maintain the form he's played at over the last month. But after backsliding in the last few seasons, he's been an absolute monster, in part because of how LA changed its offense. Watch AD on this early season possession against Cleveland. He sets a screen with his teammate, only to slide over and set some more screens off the ball, and after that all fizzles out, LeBron flows into some offense in one corner, while Davis just stands around on the perimeter on the other side of the court, and that's not a great trip. The idea here is to create a little movement and some space on the floor by pulling Davis's man out of the lane so it's easier to penetrate and finish. But the Lakers are the worst three-point shooting team in the league, so defenses can sag off their 5-out spacing, and ironically, Russell Westbrook brings his defender back to AD here, leading to a turnover. So their big change was involving Davis in the ball screen directly to maximize his pressure as a roll man.
Wow.
Normally, pick and roll heavy offenses are built around the ball handler, but the Lakers' new offense is about Davis as the screener because he's so difficult to stop in these situations. He's skilled coming downhill on the roll. He can set the screen and occasionally pop out for a mid-range jumper. But perhaps the most devastating part of his screen game is attacking a mismatch after a switch. Even bigger forwards like Jason Tatum that start on LeBron are still subject to some bully ball from AD after they switch. And this makes sense with non-shooters like Westbrook. He wants to drive into this space here, not shoot, and Davis's man doesn't want to leave him, so Westbrook is free to attack. Even if defenders can stay with the ball handler around the screen, leaving AD's body just opens up his roll game again. Brook Lopez takes one step toward the ball, so Westbrook just throws it up in the air, and that's another high percentage shot for LA. This is subtle, but watch Jokic here. He stays completely glued to Davis, so he doesn't have extra space to catch a lob. So AD's screen game and his general lob threats around the basket create gravity where defenders don't want to leave him, so that opens up driving lanes for his teammates. So this shift to a Davis-centric attack built around his roll game completely reinvigorated the Lakers, who suddenly won 7 of 9 games in the middle of November. Davis himself averaged a whopping 35 points and 15 rebounds on 72% true shooting in the 14 full games he played over this stretch, and that leads us to the other major component of this explosion, Davis's health. After a transcendent performance in the bubble back in 2020, he's spent the last 2 seasons in and out of the lineup constantly, missing more than half of his team's games. Going back and watching his earlier film, he looked lighter on his feet to me and just more fluid. He was already pretty filled out by 2018 at the age of 25, adding a bunch of muscle over the years as he matured into a defensive cheat code, able to move with the agility of a guard in certain spots, with the wingspan of a pterodactyl. He was so quick off the floor that he could basically do the impossible. Start at the free throw line when this pass is thrown and catch up to the ball at the rim. After some additional weight gain and the toll of those nagging injuries, he wasn't moving like that over the last few seasons, and that's chipped away at his value on both ends of the floor. And his improved health made a difference on defense, where he hasn't been quite as dominant since Disney World. AD put on a clinic back in the bubble because that agility, 7'6" wingspan, and quick leaping made him a nightmare for any offense. And he hasn't been quite at that level lately to me, but he has been destructive on that end in the last month. A play like this one really stands out, where he played the entire second half, yet still pounces on this skip pass to somehow deflect it and force a turnover. And since he's moving better, he can quickly recover and shut off plays at the rim. Jaden Ivey has nowhere to go here, and we've been seeing more brilliant plays like this one on the defensive end. Here he's in a drop coverage to take away the lob pass, then contests Devin Booker so he can't shoot, yet steals the pass with his other hand. I am contractually obligated to mention that this two-arm sorcery is a vintage Bill Russell move. Anyway, compare those plays to last year, where Davis looked more sluggish on plays like this one, where a little body contact nullified his vertical challenge. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, and here's a similar play where Drew Holiday drops his shoulder, but Davis effortlessly strides and elevates to destroy the shot. And that is much closer to the defensive magic we've seen from him at his best. And that means when he puts it all together, there are brilliant possessions like this, covering ground to chase a three-point shooter off the line, then deterring a shot from behind and rotating out to nearly block a jumper at the end of the clock. I don't know if I would call this version peak Anthony Davis. He's been asked to pass way less and finish way more. But moving closer to the hoop has spiked his true shooting percentage, and it's not from hot shooting from the outside or the mid-range, but because he's been living around the basket and creating mismatches rolling toward the hoop. Since the Lakers lack shooting, a Davis-centric offense makes sense for them, and he harmonizes with LeBron as a slasher and passer, and Russell Westbrook off the bench in a similar role. After a few up and down seasons, the 29-year-old Anthony Davis reinvigorated the Lakers by playing like a top 10 player once again, and hopefully he can stay there and stay healthy when he returns.
That was like one of the weirdest feelings I've ever had watching a Thinking Basketball video, because I was like, this is something that I feel like, I've been saying before Anthony Davis even got there, before he got to LA, it was like, oh, this is going to be insanely scary pairing Anthony Davis with, like, this is something that is not a new skill that he's all of a sudden developed. In fact, he's probably significantly less effective at this particular strength than he was a couple of years ago. His first year in LA, his last few years in New Orleans, peak Davis. And I said at the beginning of the season, just going back to that defensive section of the video, I said at the beginning of the season that Anthony Davis looked like prime Anthony Davis, or at least close to that, on the defensive end. Like, this was the first time in over 2 years that he's looked like that. Anthony Davis, his first season with the Lakers, the bubble season, he was completely dominant. Like, a lot of people's lists at the end of the year, where they're listing out like the top 10 best players in the league right now or on the planet right now, a lot of people had him number 2. I think some people were even putting him over LeBron. Like, he very easily could have won Finals MVP that year. I don't think anybody would have thought that was weird or crazy if Anthony Davis would have won that Finals MVP. You could very easily make the argument that he was the most important factor to them winning the title. Like, in the games that he played well, they won. And I don't know, the Lakers just seem like the most dysfunctional, most like poorly run organization somehow in the NBA right now. And also, another point, this is a fight that I'm having with everybody, nobody can hear me, but everybody that I listen to about basketball, like all the best podcasters out there, all the best NBA writers, analysts, whatever, none of them seem to agree with me on this, about the Miles Turner and Buddy Hield trade. I've brought it up like 50 times already. The idea of trading Russell Westbrook and picks for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. One of the biggest arguments to that I hear now, ever since Anthony Davis started playing like this, ever since they made this change, is that any trade that you make to improve your roster this year has to keep in mind that you're keeping Anthony Davis at center. Like, I even heard Zach Lowe say that, one of the smartest basketball people on planet Earth. But I just don't agree. Because what do you mean when you're saying you need to keep him at center? You're saying that just because he's playing very well right now, or he was right before he got injured, and he turned the Lakers season around, and he was playing center. So that's what was different. But wait, he was playing center at the beginning of the season also. What's changed is their scheme. What's changed is his role on offense. His role on offense is playing, in the style of a traditional center. But the thing is, you can trade for somebody who also plays center that can fit into the offense and allow Anthony Davis to continue to play the way he is right now on offense, like a Miles Turner, somebody who's a floor spacer, somebody who can spot up from 3, hit threes at a above league average clip as a 7-footer. And then you still have LeBron and AD in the pick and roll. And now you've added the immense shooting gravity of Buddy Hield. Makes the pick and roll so much harder to defend and makes open 3-point opportunities for kickouts way more likely. And it's not like Anthony Davis being the center on defense is what's changed his whole outlook on defense either. It's really just been like what Thinking Basketball highlighted in the video, him being way more mobile and invigorated this season, playing much, much harder, being able to ascend and block shots. He's playing just like straight up rim protector role right now, or he was, before he was injured. But everybody knows his best role on defense is that Giannis or Draymond role, the help defender role, a guy who can roam and help off ball and like just contest every shot out there. Just have him defending the worst shooter on the opposite team, so he has the capability or the freedom to sag off. And because of how big he is and how fast he recovers and how just quick he is to get his hands in certain areas on the court, to defend shots, to get in passing lanes, all that, just, putting him on a non-shooter, he doesn't have to leave him completely, but him just sagging off of a non-shooter does so much to just the geometry of the court. And your defense would be so much more stacked if you had somebody filling that rim protector role at an elite level, like a Miles Turner, one of the best shot blockers in the league. And then you have Anthony Davis alongside him, being the mobile Swiss Army knife defender that he's been. I just don't get the downside of that trade other than losing the picks. I've always kept that in mind. I understand that part of it, not wanting to lose the only picks that you have. But just in terms of deals they can make with this trade package that other people are exploring all these other deals with, this is one of the best ones out there. Sure, it might not get them the highest caliber player, like the DeRozan and Vucevic deal, or what was one of the, Bojan Bogdanovic, I think, is another one that people throw out there. But it's not like why are you trying to you're adding pieces that's like, okay, that helps, but it doesn't fix problems, you know? It adds more to your potency, I guess, in terms of scoring ability or whatever, but like it doesn't put Anthony Davis in his best optimal position. He could be playing power forward and playing the same way that he does offensively right now. It's just he's playing power forward because defensively he's matching up with a wing or a big wing, the 4 usually, and Miles Turner is the paint defensive anchor. But offensively, Miles Turner can just stand at the top of the key, behind the 3-point line, or on the wing, or in the corner. And he's still useful to the play there because of his catch and shoot ability, his threat to shoot. So players can't sag off of him. Also, having Miles Turner just gives you like a pretty huge Anthony Davis insurance. You know, like when Anthony Davis is out, like at least you still have Miles Turner. Your defense can still hold on and do something when you have Miles Turner out there. But yeah, that's my rant. It's just crazy to me that this is even a video, I guess. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you guys next time.